Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Elisa Young, and I'm a Senior Procurement Specialist with Connecticut APEX. I'll be joined today by my colleague Meredith Glasgow, who will also be co-facilitating this presentation. Thank you for taking the time to join our webinar. Please note that all attendees are muted, and we will be answering questions throughout this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A box. And after this webinar, we will send you the presentation when it ends. Today's presentation will be on the construction contracting with the state prequalification to bid. Connecticut APEX provides assistance with education in regards to the perplexity of government contracting, including assisting with federal, state, and local registrations and certifications, including socioeconomic certifications, researching procurement histories, identifying bid opportunities, preparing proposals, one-on-one counseling, and creating government-friendly capability statements, and we include a bid matching program.
CTAPEX Accelerator covers the entire state of Connecticut, and we have offices strategically located in Bridgeport, Milford, Rocky Hill, East Hartford, New Haven, and our headquarters is in Groton, Connecticut. Our team is led by the wonderful Marisol Herrera, our state director, and we have a team of dynamic procurement specialists. Please consider following us on Facebook and LinkedIn at CTAPEX or visiting our website at ctapex.org to receive assistance, find upcoming events, and helpful updates in this space.
Who we are. Connecticut APEX is funded through a cooperative agreement with the Department of War, in addition to the funds from the state of Connecticut's Department of Economic and Community Development. We are hosted by Southeastern Connecticut Enterprise Region Sector, and we offer government contracting and marketing technical assistance to businesses headquartered in Connecticut that are interested in selling their products and services to the federal, local, and state governments. We help Connecticut businesses compete in the government marketplace.
We have strategic partners across the state of Connecticut that allow us to do what we do more effectively. One of our main partners is Connecticut Department of Administrative Services, who are joining us today to share their insights on the pre-qualification processes. We value our strategic partners very much and are thankful that they joined us today. With that, Elisa, who do we have with us today?
Now we'll be joined by the Connecticut Department of Administrative Services, the DAS, Shelley Ortiz and George Bernaco.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me share my screen. All right, I see you're sharing, you're seeing the right screen. So, all right, thank you. Thank you so much for having us here. My name is Shelley Orris, and I am joined by George Bernaco. We're part of the Business Access team, which is part of the Department of Administrative Services Procurement Division. So our division serves as the state of Connecticut's primary procurement agency. This means that we manage most of the contracts that state agencies use to buy all the products and services they need to operate on a daily basis. So our division is committed to a fair, competitive, and transparent procurement process. We are very dedicated to creating opportunities for Connecticut's business community. And thus our mission. George and I are part of the Business Access team. And so our job is to help businesses connect with state contracting opportunities. And one of the ways we do this is through trainings. We do a lot of webinars, a lot of in-person trainings. We have hands-on support through our business clinics, and we do a number of events, community business related community outreach events where we have resource tables. We're trying to get out there and talk to business owners such as yourselves. Today, the main topic is going to be our DAS construction contractor pre-qualification program. And then we're also going to cover how to use CT Source. That's our state's contracting portal. So we will pause periodically. Actually, we'll pause. You're welcome to throw your questions in the question and answer. We'll definitely pause between the two topics so that we can take your questions.
We, um, sorry. The construction contractor pre-qualification program requires all contractors performing work in specific classifications to pre-qualify before bidding on a state contract, estimated to cost more than $1 million. This may include construction, reconstruction, alteration, remodeling, repair, or demolition projects. You will become qualified for specific classifications. Solicitations may state if bidders need to be pre-qualified. Some also include classifications. Some of the bids, some of the solicitations may include classifications. However, that is not always the case. As business owners, it is your responsibility to find out if you need to pre-qualify and for which classifications.
So as you heard George just mention, you're pre-qualified for specific classifications. So this is very important. Only certain classifications need to be pre-qualified, right? And that is something that you will need to find out. It's on state-funded bids over $1 million, and even within that, only for certain classifications. Some of those are concrete, plumbing, electrical. We do have a full list on our website, and we'll do a quick live demo of our website later at the end of this presentation so that you can see where to find those. Some of these classifications also require licenses. So a good example would be like demolition, requires a demolition contractor license. Electrical, an electrical contractor license. So each of these is different, and they are all detailed on the website again in that classification list. So definitely before applying for pre-qualification, one of the things you'll need to do is make sure you know which licenses are required, and make sure that you are up to date on those licenses. Now, each classification is going to require 3 project evaluations, except for water treatment, which requires only 1. These evaluations are important because this is the part that takes the longest in the pre-qualification process. The evaluations have to be completed on projects that were completed within the last 5 years. Again, water treatment is an exception because it's a little different. There's no limit on those, but the majority of the evaluations that you're going to get, they have to be on projects completed within the last 5 years. Now, evaluations can overlap between classifications. So a project could cover, one project can cover more than one classification. If you did the work, right? If you did the work. So a school renovation could have concrete, plumbing, and electrical. And maybe your company touched all 3 of those, in which case you could get 3 evaluations, or an evaluation for each of those classifications from that one project. The way you do this is during the application process, you're going to enter each of your projects, and you're going to provide the contact information for the individual who will evaluate your performance. So it might be the project manager, awarding authority, designer, architect. Those are just a few examples, but it's going to be that person. You're going to share the email of that person who is going to evaluate your work performance. As soon as you enter that project, the system is automatically going to send an email out to that contact requesting the evaluation. So I highly recommend, strongly recommend, follow up with those people, right? You want to make sure that they receive the email. You want to make sure you input the email correct. Could have gone to their spam, right? So you want to make sure they know that it's coming and that they know it's important, why it's important. And we understand this is a hard part of the application, but we have to get those work performance evaluations in. And these are the people that can do that. So communication is really key. If you've done everything you can, the email is correct, they're on board, they're looking, they're not finding it in their spam, they're still just not getting it, then you can reach out to us and we can help you. But you need to do that due diligence first, because 9 times out of 10, I mean, it could even be like sometimes there's a space in front of you, accidentally put a little space in front of the email in the field, and the system doesn't recognize that as an email. Now the evaluations are also valid for renewals, but remember, once a project is older than 5 years, the evaluations are no longer valid, so you're going to have to replace them. So this is something from year to year that you're going to need to plan ahead. You don't have to wait until your next pre-qualification period to start adding new projects in, right? You can always go and do a change request and add a project and have the system send out the evaluation.
Applying for pre-qualification, we use our online application in CT Gateway. This portal allows you to create a safe encrypted account so all your documents will be safe. So all your financials, bonding, all that information is going to be safe in our website. Complete the application, including all required evaluations. Then you'd pay the fee and then you would submit. Applications are reviewed in the order that they are received. We know that pre-qualification applications are often bid-driven, so we try to prioritize them. But you should begin the process as soon as you know you need it, because it does take some time, particularly if you need evaluations, as Shelley was just talking about. After your application is assigned to a reviewer, they will communicate with you through email, so it's very important to keep an eye on your email after submitting the application. If we do not hear back from you within 2 weeks, we can close your application. Once approved, applicants receive a link to an electronic copy of their certificate, which is valid for 1 year. It is also available online in our directory. You can get a copy of your certificate in our pre-qualification directory. Pre-qualification is renewed annually. You'll receive courtesy emails 90, 60, and 30 days prior to your expiration date.
During the review process, we use a few key criteria to evaluate your eligibility. We look at integrity, work experience, financial condition, and safety. And you will provide some specific information and documentation on each of these criteria, and then we score, the system scores each section. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what each criteria covers right now. And then we'll go into a little more detail on the documentation you have to provide. So integrity, we're looking at both company and personnel integrity. And we're concerned with a history of things like non-payment of wages, debarments, settlements, criminal convictions. So you're going to have to answer a set of questions for your company and for each of your key personnel that are listed. And it's very specific in the application who are considered key personnel within an organization. Your work experience, we just went over part of that, right? Those evaluations. The financial condition, we'll talk about that on the next slide. You will need to provide some company financials, so we'll go into detail on that on the next slide. And then the final piece is safety. So one of the things we use to determine that are OSHA violations. I'm sure you all know OSHA well if you're here, but it's the Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration. It's part of the Federal Department of Labor. And what we're looking for are serious, willful, or repeat violations. So if you have more than 3 serious, 1 willful, or 1 repeat violation, you are going to have to settle that with OSHA before we can complete the review of your, before we can consider you for pre-qualification. We are also going to request your EMR. That's your experience modification rating. And this is a calculation that's used by insurance firms to price out the cost of workers' compensation premiums. And so we use that to help us in assessing safety.
So while filling out the online application, there are several documents you will need to provide. Relating this back to our key eligibility requirements, the 3 that require documents from you are financial, safety, and work experience. So when we're talking about financial, we're talking about company financials. We accept an audited, reviewed, or compiled financial statement. These must be generated by a certified public accountant or CPA for the most recent tax year. You also need to submit a Connecticut Department of Revenue Services, or titled DRS, status letter. This letter of good standing can be requested online at the DRS website. It must be dated within 30 days of the application, and that just shows that you are in good standing with the state of Connecticut and you don't owe anything. Even if you're outside of Connecticut, they will issue you that letter stating that you don't owe anything. So it's an important letter that we see. When we talk about safety, we're talking about NCCI worksheet, or the National Council on Compensation Insurance worksheet. This worksheet details your experience modification rating, or EMR, and it must be dated within the past year. We can also accept state insurance rating bureau forms. So New Jersey crib, NJ crib, NY crib, New York. So we can accept those too. We also need a copy of your safety manual table of contents. And so finally, when we talk about work experience, we're talking about evaluations, which Shelley was just talking about. We also are looking at a bonding letter. This letter must be written by the bonding company or broker, and it must be dated within the past 3 months, and include your single and aggregate work capacity limits. The bonding company must have received at least an A- rating or better from AM Best rate, and we need to see that on the letter.
All business types, from sole proprietorships to corporations, are eligible for pre-qualification. One of the requirements is that your company must be registered with Connecticut's Secretary of State, and your annual filings have to be up to date. Now, of course, if you have a sole proprietorship or a general partnership, this is not required because Secretary of State, you don't need to register with the Secretary of State if you have either of those. But for everybody else, you do need to be registered with the Secretary of State. You don't have to provide anything. That's actually something that we just check that on every applicant. It's part of our process. If you do have any questions about choosing a business structure or completing your registration, we sometimes get questions on that. However, we cannot answer those questions. This is where we are going to encourage you to connect with one of our partner organizations, such as CTAPEX is a wonderful organization to talk to about business structure. And we'll talk a little bit more about our partners at the end, but we do include links to Secretary of State and our partners on our website. Our website is a great resource. We have a lot of information on our website.
So here we have our table of fees. Fees are determined by the aggregate work capacity, which is determined by your bonding letter, and the capacity you have requested. You may request less than the bonding letter limits, but not more. If you request a lower aggregate level, then that will be the fee you pay. New and renewal fees range from $300 to $2,500. Payment is the final step in the application process. It calculates the payment based on what you've requested for your aggregate work capacity. That is why it's the final step. It is important to note that if you apply after your renewal date, you will no longer be eligible for the renewal fee. You'll pay the initial fee, which is double the renewal fee. So before we move on to our next topic, are there any questions regarding prequalification?
Yes, we do have one question in the chat. Someone has asked, do material suppliers need this pre-qualification?
Suppliers in general do not. It is mainly for construction work and general trade work. So just as an example, some classifications are, painting, general building construction. Those are, those are the kind of work that we're looking for. There's no classification through suppliers. So
Thank you for that,
Yeah.
George.
And I would say though, any questions like that, definitely look at our website because that's a great place to just look through each of those, each of those classifications. There's descriptions and everything because generally, um, we're not giving any advice on that, right? That's really important for the business owner to make that determination.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Shelley. I'll go find that resource to your website and put it in the chat for everyone so you can save it. We have one other question at this time. Someone asked, can we obtain this as a joint venture?
So I can answer that too. No, DAS does not pre-qualify joint ventures, or we don't accept the initial pre-qualification for contractor performance evaluations for projects completed by joint ventures. When a joint venture bids on projects requiring pre-qualification, both companies involved in the joint venture must be individually pre-qualified.
Fantastic. That's great to know. I don't see any other questions in the Q&A right now, but we'll have an opportunity at the end of the slides to have another Q&A
There's
portion.
one more, I see. I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh,
mean to
great.
interrupt. Do you
Yes,
need
no
to be
problem.
registered as SAM.gov? Not for this program. If you are looking to be certified as a small minority business SMBE program, that's separate, and that will require the SAM.gov registration, but not for the pre-qualification program.
Right. Well, and I think also for bidding specifically, you really have to look at the bid. Every bid is different, and the requirements for that bid will be detailed. If it's a state of Connecticut bid, you're going to go to CT Source, and we're going to show you a little bit about that right now. We did a much deeper dive a few weeks back, and I believe you still have the recording for that, right, Meredith and Elisa? They can
Definitely.
share with people where we went into much more depth. But yeah, any specific questions about solicitations, you have to go to that solicitation and read it thoroughly.
Thank you, Shelley.
All right. All right. So we'll continue. Oops, on to see. Oh, all right, we'll continue on to CT Source right now. Like I said, but we're just going to do a quick. We'll do a quick. But if you want more detail, um, go back to our last training. But we'll give a little bit of an overview here. So contracting with the state of Connecticut, of course, starts with the bid process, right? You need to submit a strong bid proposal. You're going to do this in response to a solicitation that aligns with the products or services that you offer. Then awarded vendors are added to a contract, and state agencies then have the opportunity to make purchases through that contract. The solicitation process is managed here on our CT Source portal, and it includes 3 sections. we have a registration section. So before submitting a bid proposal, you have to find the right opportunity, of course. And the best way to keep up to date on opportunities is to register. The state, municipalities, and other political subdivisions, such as quasi-agencies, post open solicitations here, often on a daily basis. There's a lot happening on CT Source. You can even learn about regional and national opportunities, which we do participate in periodically. Then after you register, each time you will receive an email every time an opportunity posts that is related to the products and services that you sell. Honestly, it's a wide net. So, a lot of them may be outside of your of what you do, because we do cast a wide net, but it's worth reading, right? Because you don't want to miss those that do come across that are related to what you are providing. And it's important to find out about those opportunities as quickly as possible because they are only open for a specific period. Usually it's 2-3 weeks, could be a little bit longer, but it can be as short as 5 days. Our next section is our bid board. And this is another place where you can receive the emails, but you can also come here and look for specific opportunities. And we will do a little demo on that. And then finally, we have our contract board, which includes all of our current and our expired contracts. So I'm going to do a quick, just a quick overview. Here's our bid board. There's a search bar right up here. You can put in a keyword or a keyword phrase. You're going to enter that. I put in electrical. We have over 1,100 matches, a little bit too many. I don't want to go through all of those. So we have some filters over here on the side. We can select the organization if we want a specific, if we want everything, just don't even touch this. But if you want specific municipalities or colleges, etc., you can define that there. You can look at the status. I'm going to look at open today. There's different bid types and there's different commodities here. And there's actually an additional search bar right here. So you could look specifically for your commodities using keywords here. Then you're going to apply the filter. And let me show you, let's see, here's one. So there's a couple of icons here. I just want to show you. If you see an arrow next to it, it means the solicitation has been amended. So maybe if you saw this prior, there may be a change since the last time you looked at it. And then we have these lightning rods. These mean that a solicitation is about to end. So here we have Lions Park lighting. You'll see the end date is on June 1st. And those end dates are absolute, right? That's when it's going to end. I'll just show you really quickly. All of them have the same basic setup. We have a button up at the top where you can download just a summary. We have the solicitation number, title, and then there's a description here. Over here is the contact information for the person that is managing the solicitation. They probably won't be able to answer your questions. If you have questions, you're going to have to participate in the question and answer portion, which is detailed in the solicitation. And then we have the start date and the end date. Remember, again, this end date here, very, very important. This one is June 1st at 11 a.m. And they really mean 11 a.m. So then down here we have solicitation documents. If you're interested, this is just kind of to give you an overview. If you're actually interested in the opportunity, you're going to log in to CT Source. Remember, we said first you have to register. You're going to log into CT Source. You're going to find your dashboard there, and that's where you're going to find all of those details, all those nitty-gritty details that you really need to look through and understand. So we are also going to look at our contract board. This is our final piece of CT source. And I mean, this is just a gold mine of information. So first, let me just show you so let me show you how to search for an opportunity. So this is similar. It's a similar setup. You have a search bar here at the top. I'm going to look for media. We have 172 matching contracts. Then we have a filter over here. So status. If I'm doing research, if I'm looking at opportunities, current and past opportunities, I might want to look at everything. I might not want to narrow down the status. But for today, I'm going to just look at active. You have different types here. You may or may not want to use these. The authorizations, this is more interesting if you're a dealer. Different organizations. But then again, down here, commodities. This could be very helpful. You can use the search bar to search for your commodity or commodities, and you can check those off and apply the filter. And then this also has a little preserve filter here, which is great, so that you can be doing different keyword searches, but you can still retain your filter options. You don't have to keep replacing them like you will on the bid board. So I just want to show you one of these really quickly. We'll look at the media. Again, it's very similar structure, right, to the bid board. There's a button up here where you can download a summary. There's the number, title, and description of the contract. Here we have the contract administrator. If you do have questions about this contract, this is the only person that can answer your questions. Now, remember I said you may be using this for research. Here, down here, this is the expiration date, the date it goes into effect, and the expiration date. This is important. This is a great way to look for potential future opportunities. If this is a contract that you might be interested in submitting a proposal on the next time it comes around, you're going to want to keep an eye out in the year or so prior, because this may be, there's no guarantees, right? It could be, it may be renewed, it may not be renewed. It could be extended, but this gives you an idea, right? It gives you some information. And then along those lines, down here at the bottom, we have all of the documents. We have a price schedule, the contract documents. This is a gold mine of information for you if you are working on a proposal, right? You can also use this if it has come to the renewal period and you're working on a proposal. You can see exactly what is in place right now, and that can help you in building and creating a competitive bid. Now here we have also got all the distributors. So this is a contract that has a lot of, some contracts have one awarded vendor. Some have a couple. There's a few like this one that have a lot. We have the list of awarded vendors, and we also have their contact information that's available. So not all contracts allow for subcontracting, but some do. So this may be a place where you could look for an opportunity, right? Reach out to an awarded vendor and see if there is an opportunity to subcontract. There's a couple of other ways, particularly in construction. There may be a pre-bid meeting. If there is, especially if subcontracting is required, you want to get to that pre-bid meeting because that's where you're going to connect with all of the prime contractors who are planning on submitting bids. And if there's no pre-bid, but you see there's a solicitation that's been posted that you're interested in, you're just going to have to reach out to the companies that you suspect may be putting in a bid and talk to them about that opportunity.
Shelley, I have a quick question.
Sure.
How soon after a contract is awarded does it show up on a contract board?
It varies. It really varies. Every bid is different. Every contract is different. And the hoops that, the process can be a bit different. So I would say, I would, it should be within a couple of months. It could be, it can take longer though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This concludes our main presentation, and we will end by sharing a resource with you. If you have follow-up questions, the best place to start is our website, and we are going to do a live demo to navigate you through the resources. So on the home page, as you see, Shelley's got it up, which gives you a quick overview of the program. If you need it in another language, there's a translation option in the top right. You can also find upcoming events under the Connect with Us. From there, we'll click into a few of the pages. We shared the link already. One of the Apex shared the link, but those classifications outlines the available categories, and it also has the descriptions of each what of the classifications cover each one. The eligibility lists the criteria, along with several examples of who would not qualify, so you can quickly assess where you stand. The apply section gives you a step-by-step overview of the application process, along with links to get started. There's the documentation section, which we discussed about which documentation you need. That will break down exactly what you'll need to submit in detail. So you have the list there to work with. And then we talked about fees, and we showed you the structure. You can access that on our website so you know exactly how much the fee will cost when you're looking for a certain aggregate work capacity.
To move forward in contracting, we also strongly encourage you to work with one of our partners. Those that are listed here, of course, we have Apex. They are an organization we work with a lot. Strongly recommend if you are not already working with them. Can't, say enough good things about them. There's a few other organizations listed here. They often work together, right, to help businesses because they have some different skill sets and different, well, I would say different strengths, right? And I know SBDC and Apex, I think in particular, work together quite often with businesses. So many of the services are free, but these are organizations that can help you assess your readiness for government contracting, help position your business for competitiveness. So these are all listed on our website. We certainly encourage you to learn more about them and to connect with them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So we are at the last question and answer portion of our presentation here. I saw a couple questions come through the chat, and thank you, George, for going ahead and responding to those. But just in case anyone missed it, I'll read them out now. Someone asked, what exactly do I need to attach to my bid response if a project requires pre-qualification? And George responded, a copy of the pre-qualification certificate and an update statement. Another question was, if I'm already pre-qualified by the Department of Transportation, DOT, does that count for DAS too? And George mentioned that this is a separate program, and you will need to be certified with DAS as well and submit an application there. If anyone else has questions, please drop them in the Q&A tool. I'm also launching a poll to see where our audience stands in their progress of working with the state or working on a construction contract with the state.
All right, and while you do that, we'll just do a quick say a quick couple of final words.
They also email us questions. We are a customer service oriented team and respond fairly quickly. We offer services in both English and Spanish. You'll see that we have the links for the website there. We can put it in the chat if you need to. If you have questions about pre-qualification, our emails there. If you have questions specifically about CT Source, there's their emails on their website too.
Yeah, and I think Meredith and I both just posted those in the chat. So
Thank you.
what you see on the screen here. So, all
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that, you'll reach out if you have questions. Definitely check our website. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Get registered on CT Source if you are not already registered. And please let more businesses know about our programs. Because the more businesses that are involved, the more opportunities we can be offering. And thank you so much.
Perfect. One more thing
Thank
on the
you.
APEX side, I'm going to share my screen really quick. If you indicated on the most recent poll that you'd like to be followed up with, your primary APEX counselor will be following up with you regarding the next steps. As Shelley said, there's plenty of resources and tools that we could be exploring together to maximize your time in the government contracting space. Speaking of which, there are some large upcoming construction opportunities happening through the General Services Administration, or GSA, Public Building Services. So I thought this was a great audience to share that these opportunities are available to you, and CTAPEX is available to help you explore these opportunities and how to get you connected. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time, and thank you especially to DAS for your time and insights. This was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
All
You
right,
too.
thanks so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.